This is Hal Electronica, and you're listening to the podcast Unapologetic by Eric King. Keep listening.
So I will like to bring in, let me go ahead and give him a proper. So I would like to bring in Arron Muller. He is a licensed clinical social worker, the founder of Modify Wellness, and the voice behind The Black Therapist. The Black underscore therapist that you can find him on IG. He works with high performing Black men to transform therapy into a tool of leadership, legacy, and personal evolution. What's going on? How you doing there, Arron? I can't hear you. Are you muted? Let's see. I think this on me. Wait, go for it. Wait.
You feeling?
There you go. There you go. What's up, man?
Good to see you again.
Man, it's been. I had to look back, man. Last time that you and I was together was like 6 or 7 years. Yeah, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a long minute, man. So I welcome you on. I want you to go ahead and say what's up to Shadae.
You got it right.
Shadae.
Good. Shadae is good.
So mind you, I've been knowing Shadae for about 20 plus years, and I don't think I've ever called her by her full name because that's just not what I do. At some point, and so since she's a part of the show now, she's the new co-host of Wellness Wednesday. I got to get everything right, so I got to be right, my man.
No, for
But
sure.
enough about that, man. How you doing out there? You still in New York, right?
Yes, New York. Yes, it's busy, a lot going on, but you know what I'm saying. Give God the glory through it all.
Amen.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, I want to start it off just let's just dig into it. We got about 20 some minutes, and I want to just dig into it. What I want you to do is point out where mental health, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month,
Mhm.
mental health is serving the Black community and where they're lacking in the Black community. And I know specifically you work with men, so you can go as it relates to your specialty. But where is mental health, successes
Mhm.
as well as failures as it relates to Black men and the Black community?
Well, certainly this is the most that's been talked about. I've been doing this work for quite some time, but definitely post-pandemic, definitely heightened the awareness. There's police brutality was happening a lot during that time and still happens to this day. And now we have social media that could really bring attention to it. So we've been seeing it a lot more, and people are talking about it. And we, like I said, we are nowhere near we were before.
Right.
There's still challenges when it comes to cultural humility, um, in terms of therapists and practitioners who are doing this work, and that takes a lot of inner work in terms of recognizing your implicit biases when you're working with Black men or Black people altogether.
Right.
There's still also lack of resources, lack of Black clinicians, right? So we're still not a lot of us to provide service to everyone.
Right.
So there's some challenges still in terms of access, availability, right? So always hear, I can't find one. There is therapists that have wait lists and things of that nature. But here's another topic that people don't really talk about, but something that I want to highlight, is those clinicians of Black persons of color dealing with insurance companies and the stress that comes with that,
Yeah.
which prevents
100%.
them from wanting to take insurance. That's a big
100%.
issue. So we're telling everyone to go get help, go to therapy, go heal, and all of that good stuff. But I'm looking at access and availability, and even from a clinician's point of view,
Yeah.
the stressors that we go through
Yeah.
when accepting insurances, right?
Correct.
Insurances can recoup funds from 7 years ago that could literally wipe your little practice out. You understand what I'm saying? So when they have those abilities, we're less likely to want to take insurance. So now we're talking about those that are working, those that may not be able to comfortably afford out of pocket for consistent therapy, right? So now you got to pay $30 per session, between 30 and 75, depending on what insurance you have.
Right.
If you're lucky, you have zero.
Yeah.
But majority of people may have a little 15, a little $30. And the economy we in right now, it may not be a challenge for you to sacrifice. And I say sacrifice, right? It could be a sacrifice, but it's a challenge. Right. 15, it depends on somebody's situation. Everyone is different, right?
Right.
Now, $15 to $30 could go a long way for somebody. That food, gas in their car. So you say, you know what, I'm not going to go to my therapy session, right? So that's a challenge in this country, right? So I'm looking at it on a macro level in terms of accessibility, in terms of fair practices when it comes to these insurance companies, which is a huge issue when it comes to clinicians. So if we don't have enough clinicians that's on insurance panels, right? Because based off of they only accept X amount for this time of year, that also limits availability. So so there's still a lot of challenges and issues that we're still dealing with, but we've come a long way.
Let's keep it. What I want to do is keep it at this macro level. Now, and Shadae, I want you to jump in. Remember, this is a conversation. What I want you to keep it at this macro level. From my point of view, what I am finding is a lot of times people of color, Black men or whatever have you, don't want to go into the profession, not simply because of what you stated, that's seeking service, but as a clinician, they're not getting paid what they're worth. For example, Cigna in the state of Ohio provides $68 per 60 minutes session, right? Medical Mutual Care Source provides between 108 and $118 an hour. So to your point, to where accepting insurance panels or being on an insurance panel, if I'm looking to support my family in this economy, if I'm looking to grow as a person, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept Cigna. I'm going to go for the insurance companies or be on the insurance panels that provides me the largest payout. That's what I'm seeing. What about you, Shadae?
Well, I think that for a lot of people, therapy and mental health is looked at as a luxury. And so that's complex too, because we don't see mental health as we see our physical health. Like you can get a gym membership and you can make sense of it because it's working out the body. But the same way that we don't handle our mental, or that we don't work on our mind, or we don't have a support system or a coach to work through things that we don't understand, or things that have become an imbalance from consistent poor behavior and practices in the mind, just like bad eating forms bad practices in the body. It's the perception of not understanding how your mind is just as valuable as every other aspect. You wouldn't allow your kids to miss school because you know they need the education and the structure and the discipline, where your mental has to be well for the rest of the things to fall in line. But unfortunately for our community, since we've always been in, or a lot of us have been in a state of survival instead of a thrive mentality, it's not even seen as a necessity as much as it is.
Yeah. What you got on that, Arron? What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And of course, like again, we go back to resources, right? If food and shelter and warmth, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If those basic things are not being met, therapy would be looked at as something that is, man, I can't do that right now. But if we look at the history of Black people and how we've been oppressed and continue to be oppressed, that's something that is at the forefront, right? Unfortunately, because of what we've been through, what's in our body, what's in our DNA, in terms of racism in this country. So recognizing that wellness is pivotal to our well-being is so important, and that's why this month is so important to kind of continue to shift that notion that is last is priority, but it's also included in our wellness. Because if you're not well, then you may not have the accessibility, the ability to go seek employment or take care of your health and things like that. They all work hand in hand. But when we're in survival mode, oftentimes it's very difficult to think outside of, I got to take care of myself, because it's thinking about, I got to take care of all these other things. So just bringing that education that they're all hand in hand, that's important. But again, we're looking at disparities, where we're looking at gaps, when we're looking at subtle and not so subtle racist policy is very difficult.
I'm gonna go, but I do want to go back to that macro level of being a clinician, because I focus primarily in my practice. Not only do I focus, my practice has twofold mission: one, to help all of the clients that I can by, and also to provide an environment for clinicians to thrive in. When we're looking at creating more therapists, look in the way that we're doing this therapy thing or creating therapists, we need to change, in my opinion, how therapists are being reimbursed reimbursed for the service that they provide. Because who wants to go into a profession that your payment from an insurance company is so subjective? That's what,
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my thing too. That's my thing too, in terms of like insurance companies, just overall in terms of how clinicians are treated. I think that is that is my focus, because if we are having everyone saying get mental health and services and it's important, I'm like, where are they going to go? That's why there's waiting lists. Where are we funneling all these people to? Because there's not, especially and I think I'm right. My sphere is New York City. Think about rural communities where access is even more limited. So we look at licensing and the ability to do that across state lines, how that could be improved, because that could also expand someone's catchment area to maybe get clinicians of color to provide service to them. But reimbursement rates is up there also. And also clinicians may not know that you can advocate, right? You can reach out to the insurance companies and advocate for a higher rate. And it's important to do those things. Also, that you can also expand your portfolio in terms of the work that you do. Multiple streams of income, right? Creating streams that while you're sleeping, you can make money. I think it's also important that in the school of social work or whatever,
I got you,
profession in the mental health field, that they're talking more about if you want to go into private practice, what that looks like, because this is a business model. We're in the helping profession,
a for-profit business model,
but it is a business model. So sometimes there's a struggle between doing helping my clients, but then also like I got to make money. So really working through that and being able to put your business hat on, or seeking support in terms of structuring your business in such a way so that you're able to recoup funds and things of that nature. So it's hand in hand, right? There's a part where reimbursement rates, you need to advocate for yourself on that, but then the other hand is really learning the formal business model, even if it's a private practice.
And so let's reset. This is Unapologetic with Eric King. This is Wellness Wednesday. We got our co-host Shadae, and then we got on the line licensed clinical social worker Arron Muller. So let's go back down to the micro level now. So let's transition from the macro, the doing the business or the big picture, to the micro. And I'm gonna let Shadae jump in on this. A lot of times you focus on men.
That's a big part of work, but I see everybody.
So it's just like, we both, my passion projects are men. And so a lot of times I spend roughly 3 to 6 months doing what I call a fight with the men to even get them to come outside of their box. And I know, Shadae, you have a passion for men. You have a son. Absolutely. When you're working, two sons. When you're working with, and then we're going to throw it over to Arron. When you're working with your kids, because you're molding them in opening up to their emotions, what are some things that you see? And Arron, I want you to see if I really want to know if you see this also in adult men who didn't have a mother wanting to get them to get in touch with their emotions. So what do you see with your young men?
So more than just emotions, I focus on my sons identifying the fullness of who they are in their own autonomy and their power. So they can, because I also don't encourage my children to, I want to say, lack accountability based on emotions. I think that, and I try to do that also. So it's a difficult thing, because also we know the stigmas with single moms and sons and what that looks like. So I think I kind of try to counterbalance, and they have a relationship with their father, but not father in home, type of situation. And so when it comes to my sons, it's more or less about being able to be free to talk about how they feel, what they're thinking, and also the freedom of choice.
Gotcha.
So acknowledging how you feel is one thing. Your actions mean so much more
as it relates to your emotions, how you reflect.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something that I work with them with.
Aaron, when you're working with someone and you're attempting to get them to understand that it's not your emotions that are the struggle, it's your actions and how you relate to that is the struggle. What do you do to help them out and move them forward on that?
Well, first is, one, being able to gain insight, right? For them to gain insight into where they got these emotions from, because I think I'm very big on psychoeducation, and I think that's the educate me. I think that's the first thing to help people move forward, is that you have to be aware of yourself. My wife and I, we both practice very similarly in terms of like educating people. Like, you need to know you better than anybody else. And that's important. So you can recognize when I'm about to crash out, as they call it now, about to wild out. Like, being able to identify that before that's the first thing. So I don't know if you know, Eric, that I'm a school social worker. So
no, I know.
Yeah, right. So
you're at work right now. So shout out to all the people that's working in school, man.
Yeah, right.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. So I'm working with from 3K on to 8th grade, right? Yep. And I'm working with the young men and the young ladies and helping them to, one, gain insight into their emotions, right? At this age, it's still developing. And I say, even adults don't have insight or awareness yet, right? So we have expectations for children, right? But I think I'm very big on kind of teaching them and steering them in a way of being able to recognize when they're feeling a certain way and what are some alternative ways to manage that. For example, like, I have a lot of snacks in my room, Cheez-Its, different drinks for them to drink, and they want to come in and they want everything.
Yeah,
they want the juice
all at the same time.
All at the same time, and I'm coaching them through. Well, it's a limited resources. You come every day, and here's one thing today, and then tomorrow you're gonna come get something else. And but please, they're pleading and pleading because this is what they want. But I'm steering them back towards, this is the reason why. And they say, okay. But so modeling is also very important. So modeling, providing education to them and being consistent with that in terms of showing them ways, right? And we look at how boys are reared. It's very different from girls. So we look at reared in education, we're reared very differently. So how we emote is going to be different.
Yes.
So that's
emoting is that behavior that you see, right? It's not the actual emotion that is going on.
So that aggression, right? That irritability, all of that is emotion, right? But often being unable to regulate or really express how they're feeling. So giving them the opportunity to put words with their feelings.
Right.
That's the biggest part with our young men and boys. I mean, young men and adults.
Yes.
Being able to have that skill.
So when I say, and I want both you two to comment on this, when I say your mental health is your legacy, what does that mean to you? So let's start with Arron. If what does that phrase, your mental health is your legacy, what does that mean to you? And how do you push that out in your work?
So how you care for your mind, right? That impacts how you lead, how you love, and how you leave a mark, right? So if you don't address those emotional wounds, you risk passing that on, right? They're going to mirror those behaviors. And oftentimes that's what we're seeing, right? In society, we're seeing, that's how my mama did, right? That's how right? So we hear that, right? And that's the legacy that we're passing on in terms of unhealthy ways to express ourselves. That's the legacy, right? So if you invest in your healing, your kids will inherit growth and not so much trauma.
Okay.
Right. So really be intentional about that deposit, right? That deposit into that legacy, that you're shifting what you experience to something different. Right. So that's how you build community.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when you're pushing that out to those that you practice with, do you have some specific items that you ask them to focus on, either when they're using the language of a dysfunctional legacy or they're using the behaviors of a dysfunctional legacy? Are there certain things that you get them to come out of themselves and become aware of their actions or their words? Is there some specific?
So first, I want to know the history where it came from, right? And we acknowledge that you need that for survival, right? Particular neighborhoods, like you can't be frail in certain neighborhoods and thrive, right? So acknowledging that I see why you have to conduct yourself this way, right? And that's important when you have a clinician of color, to recognize that I see that this is for survival. If you was, I see that you had to do this, and look how like you are surviving this way.
Yeah.
Right. But what if I can show you that there's another way, right? You can still maintain that when you need to be, but there are situations where you can express yourself in a healthier way.
Amen.
Right. And recognize that when you respond this way, the consequences of that.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a statement. I'm gonna pass it over to Shadae, and Shadae gonna take it from here. But so I had a client yesterday in my session, right? And so he's 47 and I'm 50. And he didn't know I was 50 until I told him. So he's telling me a story about what he's been doing, him paying for his child's mother's phone and this and that. And I asked him why, and he literally went into the legacy of how he got or acquired and ingested the concept of putting others before him and not being, I guess rewarded for allowing himself to be a service to other people, while being told that you need to stop doing this so much because you're not being a service to your person, to yourself. And it was a 47-year-old black man. He had 3 wives, a number of kids, and it's like he just got it. Like I saw it happen to him, was like, oh, I care for others more than I care for me. But I'm gonna turn it over to you. Go ahead, Shadae.
So that's an excellent point. I just been having this conversation. The fact that we can't, and we talked about at the beginning of the show, we can't care for other people if we don't care for ourselves first. Right. And when you talk about the mental, what does your mental health say about your legacy? A man is as he thinketh, and so is a woman. So you produce what you think. You are what you believe, type of thing. So if you are not in a healthy space mentally, it's hard to achieve success physically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're leaving a legacy to your family, friends, your legacy is just what people remember you for, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a legacy of strength, if you have a legacy of empowerment, if you have a legacy of knowledge, love, support, and compassion, being an idiot, that's a legacy too. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to actually consider what it is that you're putting out there, but it comes with your mental strength. And like he mentioned, if you leave a legacy of trauma, that's what's passed down.
That's what you're passing down.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Let's land this shit. We got about 5 minutes because I want you to get back. So let's give us some resources, and what are some things that you can tell our audience that they can use in order to not only support themselves, whether it's within their household, as a husband, as a wife, as a daughter, as a mother. Take your pick. What are some things that you want to pass on to our listeners that they can utilize as a resource?
So one, if you recognize that you are not well, I think it's important to take it to the next level, right? And well, meaning that you are not functioning like how you used to. Yeah. There's an impairment in your daily functioning, right? So things that, like, whether it be employment, whether it be just taking care of daily ADLs, as we call it. So that's taking a shower, brushing your teeth, things like that. If there's any shift in that where you find that you are laying in bed most of the days and can't get out, feeling that you're better off not being here, those things are significant, and encourage you to kind of find where you can get support with that. And it may be difficult, but those are concerning things. So I'm looking at those people that are really low and, don't know what to do, right? Or they may not recognize it, right? So this may, if you're listening, this may be your call that, hey, something is wrong. Something is challenged.
Something need to be improved. Good. Go ahead.
No, saying that. So, and then those that recognize that something is wrong, is like, what is the next step? I'm going to call, right? So really taking that step into seeking what wellness looks like. So wellness part of it is the therapy process, but wellness is other things, right? If you're in a situation, an unhealthy situation that you may not need to be in anymore, like really start to explore that if you can safely. So, I'm big, Eric, on, not one size fits all, right? I think it's really recognizing if you're unwell, really finding start finding the support, the resources such as yourself, to start to work on it.
Move on. So give us your social. So I know you got to get back to helping people, because that's what we do. We take time out of our day to help people. So give us some socials of where they can reach you at. And as always, man, I always appreciate you being a part of anything that I'm doing. But go ahead.
No doubt, man. Yeah. So Instagram, the Black_therapist on Instagram. I'm also on the radio here in New York.
Yep.
And
Give
New
a call
Jersey.
letter.
94.7 The Block, New York's
There
number
you
one
go.
throwbacks. I do the mental health moment every Friday around 6:25. Every Friday I do that. I love that. Radio, if I wasn't a therapist, I would want to be a barber or be on the radio.
Amen. I tell people this is literally my therapy. I do it once every week. This is my therapy. I get to go be me.
Yeah. So I would want to be a radio jock, as they called it back then. And then I'm on the Jamal Bates Morning Show. I do Man Mondays on there every Monday, and that comes on a number of stations in the South.
Yep.
So that's Jamal Bates Morning Show, and I do Man Mondays.
You all over the place, man. Send me some money so I can help. Much love, man. I really appreciate you, man. That is licensed clinical social worker Arron Muller. He and his wife are doing amazing things in New York, man. Any last words before you got to jump off?
Yeah, everybody, just be kind. We're living in an unkind world, so if you can do your little part to be kind, a little bit more empathy, make the world a better place. We need a lot of empathy. All
right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, bro. You go do your thing. Keep being you, bro. Every time that I see you, man, I try to share as much as possible that you're doing, bro.
Appreciate it.
Love.
All right, take care, man.
All right, peace.